What's up, everybody? It's your boy Christian Reese, and we're back on the third episode of Perspective with Chris and company. Now, today's topic is going to be branching out your own identity, because sometimes we're stuck living in something else that we don't want to be. Now, we have another special guest. His name is Alexander Chapa. Everybody, I want you to welcome Mr. Alexander Chapa. How you doing, Alexander?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you.
So Alexander is majoring in political science with a concentration in pre-law at St. Mary's University in San Antonio. How's that been for you, man?
It's been a phenomenal experience. I was surprised by how excellent and how great the political science department is at St. Mary's, how it's opened so many doors for me, networking especially, and just a lot of different perspectives that I've gained and academically, especially within this political science realm.
And it's interesting how you say perspectives, because this is what it's all about. It's all about viewing something in a different way. And I want to get into that. How has it been from living with your parents your whole life to moving out and being independent? How has that changed you in the good and in the bad?
It's been not easy, but an amazing transition, and I'm really excited and really thankful that I did it. I took a lot of things for granted, for sure, and that's this part that's been the toughest in the transition process, because you're used to, things being silver spent. Sometimes in some situations you're used to silver spoon, and always whenever you need something, your parents are right there. Mm-hmm. And it's totally different when you move on your own. But one thing that I don't take for granted, and I'm so thankful for, was the independence and freedom that I gained from leaving and going to San Antonio. And I know there's a lot of people share similar sentiments that have left, because once you're out on your own, you find your true identity and your own passions, not maybe what, in some situations, what your parents may be telling you they want you to do and what you like, right. But you actually find what you personally like and what you want to do. Now, giving an example, for me, it's been, me and you have been watching college football games as a kid together at Buffalo Wild for a long time.
Right.
Now, I actually go to those UT football games on Saturdays, because it's a 45-minute drive to DKR. And that's a true passion for me. I love going to Austin for football games. I found out I really like ACL and I really like live music, so I try to go to Austin or Houston for Astroworld, and I try to just experience different types of music and the festival atmosphere and just finding what I really like. And there at St. Mary's, I joined the debate team. I did it at Alexander for 4 years. It's totally different because it's foreign policy debate, but I actually found that I'm actually pretty good at it and I really enjoy it. And it's just a new passion that sprung up.
I just need you to promise me one thing. Let's not get into a debate here, okay? Because we're going to be here a long time if we do, and I'll probably lose because I can debate you, but I'm not knowledgeable in a lot of things, okay? Talking about political science. Now, like you mentioned earlier, you said that sometimes your parents want you to be something that they are sometimes. If you have a parent that's a doctor and he says, I want you to be a doctor. Stay here, I can help you, then you can run my business afterwards. But in reality, that's not what you want to be. Does that affect moving out?
Yes, for sure. I think sometimes people stay here because they don't want to disappoint their parents, or because it's just easier because their parents want them to stay here, because they've filled their head possibly with these are your passions. But I think when you go out on your own and see the real world from your own perspective, and you get that from just experiencing different things, that's when life really changes and you find out who you really are. You find out that you don't have to be what your parents want you to be. You can find your own passions. And for sure, it's been that way for me specifically, especially in finding so many different passions in government. And it's been awesome.
Give me the difference between Laredo and San Antonio. Laredo is an amazing city. And I'm glad that I've lived here and that I'm still here. Right. Of course, I'm going to move out later. But give me kind of your point of view on the city of San Antonio and how it compares to Laredo.
For sure. So for me, I think it comes from an opinion standpoint that I do prefer the big city in San Antonio. However, one thing that was always frustrating to me in Laredo is that it seems like a big city with a small town mentality. So this city has so much potential to grow, but it felt like for me that it was always that small town mentality of who do you know, and going to San Antonio has been really unique in that facet because it's more like you meeting people and you networking on your own. And at least it's been like that for me. Not saying people can't do that here in Laredo, but for me it was a breath of fresh air and a new opportunity for me to expand and grow and find my perspective and who I am.
And sometimes even a fresh start to some people, because they've lived a certain way and they're tired of being who they thought they were, and they move out and they finally have that opportunity to find themselves.
Exactly.
What influences people the most, do you think?
This might be a little controversial, but I think it's social media, and at least for Generation Z specifically and millennials. I think one pressing issue facing the youth specifically is echo chambers, and that's actually something I want to do a research on, and I've been studying a lot about there in political science at St. Mary's.
Can you give me a little definition of what that is? Echo chambers, you said?
Yeah, echo chambers. So
okay.
Sorry. So basically on social media, the way the algorithms work is you follow a certain page, other similar pages will be recommended and fed to you. Because social media is like Twitter wants you to stay on Twitter for longer hours, so they're making more money off their sponsorships.
No wonder, man. I followed Chick-fil-A the other day, and McDonald's and Burger King all came out. I thought they were trying to tell me something, man. Hey, Chris, start working out. Nah. And then, can you continue?
Yeah, exactly. So, more specifically, when it comes to whether it's politics, whether it's music, we're influenced by these idols and Hollywood and stuff. Because let's say you follow Travis Scott on Instagram or on Twitter, now you're gonna get recommendations for Gucci Mane, Kanye West, etc. And those are very powerful. Social media has become a very powerful tool for influence. I mean, mass media has always been, but more specifically in our case, it's social media and echo chambers. And for example, like I was telling you earlier in an off podcast conversation, when you look at like why politically we become so polarized, it's because if you follow Planned Parenthood on Twitter, you're going to be led to other pro-abortion pages. In the same way, if you follow the NRA, you're going to get suggestions from pro-gun activist pages. And I think you get stuck in these a false reality is created because you only see these certain specific viewpoints, and that's become really dangerous for us, in my opinion.
And that kind of also has to do with where you grow up and your environment and what you're growing up in and where you are at this point in your life. Like you said, for all those people who have moved out, have began their independence, have started to see the real world, cultural shocks, different situations, living statuses, going through all these different complications, they're actually figuring out, okay, all these things that I've been told, now I don't agree on. But because of what you just talked about. That's kind of like the same thing. What else do you have what have you experienced moving out from Laredo that has impacted you the most?
I think going back is just the different opportunities and just the different networking opportunities and different people I've met from everywhere. Like you were talking about meeting someone from Oklahoma. I've met people from several different states, from different backgrounds and cultures at these schools, and then going for competition to Baylor for debate competition, going to Austin for football games, whatever. These different avenues have helped me form a new perspective. And that's what I really like about this podcast specifically is it really helps you find new perspectives and people who come from different walks of life and backgrounds. So you can understand that if you're stuck in this small town mentality where you only look towards certain people and only value their opinions, how that hurts you rather than helping you. And I think the most beneficial thing I've taken out of moving out was just finding myself and my true passions and what I really enjoy doing.
And we're not just talking about moving out from Laredo to a different city. We're talking about your hometown. Because we have people in San Antonio that are moving out from San Antonio and finding themselves. But because it all goes back to the way you're raised and the environment you're put in. San Antonio, I mean, I don't want to get into off topic, but the Spurs, man, that's my team. You know what I mean? Even though they're not doing so well right now, I'm a go Spurs go type of guy. Do you watch the Spurs? Do you go watch them there in San Antonio?
So I'm actually planning on going to the Clippers game on the 21st. Me being a big Clippers fan, and I'm
Clippers
really
fan or a bandwagon?
Well, as you've known, I've been a Clippers fan since day one. It's been actually since the day we drafted Blake Griffin was when I started watching the NBA, and that's when I became a Clippers fan.
How do you think they're gonna do, man? Honestly, Kawhi and PG, because I don't think that they've gotten that. I don't think they've gotten used to kind of working together.
Yeah.
That's why they haven't been playing on the court together.
So there's been injuries plaguing both players. Finally, we've seen both of them together, and we saw them absolutely destroy the Mavericks last night. And the Mavericks were red hot. They just beat the Spurs by 20 a couple of days ago.
You don't have to mention that. You don't have to mention that.
So, yeah, and the red hot Luka Doncic and Mavericks. So it really says a lot about the two playing together. They had 58 points together. So I'm really excited about this Clippers team.
And what about the Lakers, man? Because the Lake Show, it was a while. It's been a while since we talked about them, since Kobe was there and all the championships they've won. But now LeBron's just bringing this heat, man. It's scaring me. I think I'm in a point where I'm not so sure that the Spurs are going to make the playoffs, man. It's scaring me. What do you think about them?
Yeah, it's definitely really dark times in San Antonio right now. And it's kind of disappointing. I mean, going to Spurs games since I was a kid, I always saw the Spurs as like the Patriots in Alabama. You know,
they still are.
These
Don't talk down on them.
These dynasties, and they're gone, and it's gone. And they're the first dynasty really to fall because Patriots and Alabama are still really dominant right now.
But why do you say to fall? They haven't fallen yet.
Because
we're not even midway through the season.
Because never before would we have a conversation about the Spurs making the playoffs. The conversation was, are the Spurs going to win the NBA title this year? Were they going to beat LeBron? And that was our conversations for years. And now we're talking about, well, who are the Spurs going to draft with the top 5 pick in the draft? And I think for me that kind of solidifies that the dynasty may be over.
Now, I know we can agree on one thing. We both know who's going to win the Super Bowl.
The Cowboys.
Yes, sir. Give it to me, the Dallas Cowboys. I want you to give statistical facts on why Dallas Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl.
So clearly the Dallas Cowboys, talent-wise, are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, our coaching disadvantage it's been really tough to overcome.
It's been what, 8 years, 10 years with Jason Garrett?
10 years now this year.
That's all as.
And I'm really excited that Jerry Jones is actually threatening Jason Garrett for once because, I mean, he's been like his lapdog and it's getting really frustrating. And I really hope we finally see results. I mean, I get it. The Patriots haven't lost in Foxborough in years. But that was a very winnable game. Tom Brady had a horrific game. That's a game we should have won.
And don't lie to me. If it wasn't raining and it wasn't windy, Cowboys would have came up on top.
I think so. This team has so much talent.
And let's talk about Jackson, the Jackson 5. He just came off from scoring 5 touchdowns. Let's talk about him, man. He's dangerous. He's scary.
Yeah, he's really good. But honestly, I'm going to have to agree with Clay Travis here, an analyst on Fox Sports. I think he's going to end up being another Colin Kaepernick. And the reason I say that, look, Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal athlete. I don't think we've seen an athlete like this in the NFL before, as athletic as him. Mm-hmm. However, I think we just have the NFL defensive coordinators just haven't game planned for him yet. Mm-hmm. But usually these springs last a year or two. And I genuinely think that if he's going to have to adapt to, look, I'm not saying he can't throw, he throws, but his game's going to have to mature more because we've seen Cam Newton get game planned. We've seen.
But do you think that Tom Brady has to mature to the game? Because, dude, times have changed, man. The game has changed. The quarterback position is not just a quarterback that you have stand in the pocket for 20 seconds and find an open guy. Because within 4, pass rush is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to me, honestly, Tom Brady, don't get me wrong, he's a GOAT. And his stats says it. His ring says it. But in this league right now, he's having trouble, man.
I think it's definitely his O-line. I have a lot of respect for Brady. I'm really tired of him winning.
Yeah, I know. I think we all are, man. Except the Patriots fans, man.
And I think the Patriots' biggest problem is their O-line. So I think that's really hurting Brady because sometimes he doesn't even get 2 seconds to let go of the ball. You just gotta swing it to Edelman as fast as he can, and that's been like taking the biggest toll in my opinion on the Patriots.
What do you think about the upset in college basketball that just happened,
Oh, Stephen F. Austin.
beating Duke?
That's awesome, and you always want Texas to do well all around,
Right.
and I think that's really motivating that a little school like Stephen F. Austin was able, and it wasn't just a lucky upset. We're talking the fourth quarter, Stephen F. Austin outscored Duke 35-30, and then in overtime they had to go to overtime. Usually in overtime, the better team usually runs away with it. Well, that didn't happen here. Stephen F. Austin was toe-to-toe with them until that game-winning layup where they overtook him.
I want to quote you on something that you just said. You said Texas teams.
Yeah.
So then why do you go for the Los Angeles Clippers? He's a liar. He's a liar, man. You know what I mean? I understand if you go to the Spurs, if you go for the Mavericks, you go for the Rockets. But the LA Clippers?
It was all because I was never a big basketball fan growing up. What changed me was Blake Griffin and how he revolutionized the game, especially him being able to shoot a mid-range shot, dunk it, or shoot a three-point shot now. And for me, watching him at OU always beat Texas was like, I really like this guy. Like, I want to see him in the NBA. And when he got drafted by the Clippers, that's how I chose him. So I know he's not with the Clippers anymore, but I stayed loyal to the team.
To the team. Because it's real easy to be loyal to a player, and that's an easy way to be a winner all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you choose a great player. Like, I know someone, I won't mention his name, but his favorite player is KD. And KD has been on a winning team all the time.
Yeah.
So,
He looks great.
bandwagon, I don't know. All right, so we got a little bit off topic, but that's okay because now you're more knowledgeable on basketball, on football, on college basketball, okay? You're welcome. But now let's backtrack and let's take it back to branching yourself to find your identity. Finish me with some last statements.
Yeah, so some last statements is I just highly recommend people challenge themselves and try to find new perspectives, not just, staying stuck in an echo chamber. I actually encourage people to, whether it's politics, whether it's sports, whether it's life, whether it's, business, whatever, that you challenge yourself and try to branch out and meet new people and networks. Don't stay stuck with the same people because you feel comfortable. That was actually something I forgot to mention about the difference between Laredo and San Antonio. In Laredo, I hung out with the same people all the time. And yes, we all branched out to different colleges, whether UT or Tech, but I see them a lot less. It forced me to branch out, meet new people because me just being really sociable like I am, and I had to meet new people, and it worked out amazing. Now I've met some friends who I can consider best friends and lifelong friends, and that's just what I really encourage people to do, and just really try to branch out.
And don't get me wrong, sometimes we stay in our comfort zone. Because I know you, before, you were a very timid kid. You weren't that talkative and this and that. And now it's like you're the total opposite. Any word I say, you want to debate me and contrast me. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? What kind of changed you?
I think I think it all actually just branched out to me finally not being afraid to be who I am and actually speaking up for things I believe in. Actually, funny story, the first time it happened was in 8th grade when I spoke up to the principal who I thought was screwing us over.
I remember that.
We didn't get like any class pictures. We didn't get any. There was a lot of sketchy things where our money was going. And I remember I wrote a letter to the principal, and he called me out in front of the whole cafeteria to try to roast me and try to make me look bad.
Wow.
And I really spoke up, and I went to his office after that, and I let him know how I feel. And I think it's surprising that something like that has played such an impact in my life, but that made me be more outspoken and really fight for what I believe in, and it just led on to, debate. And
that moment was scary, man. All the teachers were telling you, Alexander, don't do it. Don't do it. And what'd you do?
I did.
You did. Hey, but look at you now, man. You're finding yourself, you're finding your future, and you got a lot of great things coming. I want to thank everybody for viewing the 3rd episode of Perspective with Chris and company. I want to thank Alexander for coming all the way down from San Antonio. I'm kidding. You're here for Thanksgiving, right? Hey, but the gesture counts. I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your opinion, your experiences, and your perspective. Everybody, have a great day, night, afternoon, and like and subscribe. See you later, man.